Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton, episode 144. We get a good line for the UFC Sao Paulo. First up, we're joined by Vinc Pichel to preview his fight against Ismail Bonfim. This is a really intriguing fight. Vince finally back in action, hasn't fought since UFC 273 in April of 2022. Since then, he had some surgeries. Now 40 years old, about to turn 41. So Vince knows this fight's big. Obviously, coming out that loss to Mark Madsen, which he's pretty disappointed for. But against Bonfim, this is a fight he's really looking forward to. He thinks that Saint Denis fight really showed what Bonfim is. He thinks if you pressure him, he thinks that's how you break him, and he thinks he'll be able to do just that and break him and get a big win in Brazil here. And then we close things out talking about Modestas Bukauskas to preview his fight against Vitor Petorino. Modestas coming off that win over Zach Pauga back in June. It's already his third fight of the year. He kicked off the year, beating Tyson Pedro on short notice to return to the UFC. Now he's going down to enemy territory. 3 fights this year, 3 fights in people's home countries. Fought Zach in America, Tyson in Australia. Now he's fighting Vitor in Brazil. Vitor 2-0 in the UFC, coming off that nice win over Marcin Prachnio back in July. Modestas knows this is going to be a tough fight, but he's won. He's really looking forward to it. And he thinks this fight can kind of steal a show and really prove he belongs in the top 15. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Michelle, who's going down to Brazil in November. Vince, how's it going, man?
What up, Cole? Doing good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. First thing that's what I want to ask is obviously going down to Brazil. Some fighters like the challenge of that. Some fighters don't want to do that. What were your kind of thoughts when you got offered that date and going down to Brazil to fight a Brazilian?
Sometimes you got to go to the motherland to kill the king and take a shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really too if or against it. They offered me a fight. I like the fight, so I took it. I don't really care where or when. That's not really a big concern to me. The concern to me more is just the person in front of me, so I'm all for it.
Obviously, you had the 2 fights you had to pull out of. Like, when did you kind of fully get cleared to train and take a fight again then?
Fuck, man. Yeah, I had to pull out of the fight against Jesse Ronson. I had to get hip surgery again on my left hip, and then I think I rushed it coming back a little soon. Had to pull that fight with Saint Denis. Ended up hurting myself again. But honestly, it was just my own doing, man. Like I'm one of those guys who's too stupid to know when to quit sometimes, and I think that was just my downfall right there. What kind of caused that? But it wasn't really anything major. When I had to pull that Saint Denis fight, so it wasn't something like super huge, like an injury that put me out of training for a lot. It was just something that took me out of training for long enough that I wouldn't be prepared enough for me comfortably to fight that guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm not one to go into a fight and kind of half-ass it, right? I'm not going to go in there and not be prepared for the guy. I'm going to make sure when I go in there, he's going to deal with me 100%.
Was there any ever thought going through your head after you needed that surge again, like that might be it for your career?
Yeah, I was honestly a little worried because this surgery was a little more involving than my last surgery with my hip, and it was the same hip. What happened was I was doing some sparring rounds for the camp and just landed on it weird with another grown man on top of me. So what happened was I ripped out my anchors that I already had in my hip and then did a lot more damage to it at the same time. I was a little worried because when I initially hurt myself, I kind of lost all feeling in that leg. Mm-hmm. And so that really worried me. But once I talked to the doctor, he explained to me everything. I went to see Dr. Philippon up in Vail out here in Colorado. And once I talked to them, I had the surgery got done. I felt good, man. Besides like a little hiccup from the surgery, like I ended up catching a pretty bad stomach bug that like almost killed me. But besides that, everything was good, and I'm feeling great now. My hips 100%.
Is it still Factory X and like kind of business as usual for you then?
Yeah. I'm still at Factory X over Mark Montoya and the boys over there. Awesome fucking gym. I couldn't be in a better place, honestly.
Who are kind of the main guys you're working with for Bonfim then?
I'm working a lot with Alex Hernandez. Me and him have been real tight with each other late over the years and kind of just spitballing things together, coming up with stuff. I'm working a lot with Coach Mark, obviously, and Coach G, who's holding a lot of pads for me. As far as training partners, I'm training with everybody in there. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of guys in there who are fight a lot like Bonfim, right? Young, aggressive guys who are just like him, and so I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm not going to be prepared for this guy.
How familiar were you with him then when you got the offer?
Well, I saw his fight on the Contender Series, and I saw his fight against Actually, I saw all three of his fights. I saw that one. I saw the one where he knocked out McKinney, and then I saw his fight against Saint Denis. And Saint Denis basically showed the game plan how you beat that guy. Get him pissed off, and just kind of take it to him after that. And that's more my style, right? I'm not a. I've been a little more slicker over the years, but I'm still that brick wall people people are going to be afraid to run into.
Do you think that will be like a learning experience for him, or do you kind of expect him to still kind of have that same attitude of fighting and like kind of fight that way if someone's being the aggressive guy?
I expect him to fight that way because that's just his style. You know what I mean? And it works good for him. So I don't know if it's not broke, why fix it? You know what I mean? And he's won a lot of fights like that. He's very successful. So I don't expect him to change too much, but I do expect him to adjust for me, like everyone else I fought does.
And going down to Brazil, like, have you talked to anyone about like just the long flight and kind of dealing with the weight cut? I know you've been in sport for a long time. You've done these flights before. So like, do you just go back to your past experience, or do you bring a nutritionist around? Like, how do you kind of deal with that to make sure the weight cut's all good?
Just take it as it comes, man.
Yeah.
I'm a man who like I prepare for stuff, but I also am ready for anything. So I have friends out there already that I've been talking to that I'm going to be training with out there. So it's not like I'm going to be out there in enemy territory. I have friends out there too. So I'm going to be comfortable out there, and that's when I'm the most dangerous.
And then Brazil's famous for those like "you will die" chants when you're walking out and fighting. Like, and it is a pretty hostile crowd. Like, how do you kind of deal with that? Because I know when I talk to some fighters, they hear it. Some fighters say like they kind of go in like it's just like white noise. They don't hear anything when they're fighting. Like, do you hear that, or like do you just kind of totally block it out when you fight?
I mean, I hear it, but it's not like I know what the fuck they're saying. You know what I mean? So it doesn't
Yeah.
really affect me. I mean, I'm expecting to get shit thrown at me and whatnot, like in New York, because I mean, that's just the way they are. But I don't know. If I knock this dude out, they're gonna love me afterwards. So that's all I'm looking forward to.
Do you like do anything different in training to get used to like the booing and like everyone kind of going against you, or is it just business as usual for you?
Nah, I'm used to it. I've been hated all my life for beating the shit out of people, so it's not really anything different. The only difference here is just there's lights and more people yelling.
I was pretty stunned. I was looking at you topology that I didn't realize you're 40 already, which is like seems crazy. Like, is it crazy for you that like you already hit that age and like you're still doing very well in the UFC?
I know I'm gonna be 41 in November. Actually, in
Yeah.
November I'll be 41. So I don't know, man. I don't really think about it. The only time I really think about it is when people say shit to me, right? And then I'm like, oh fuck, I guess I am 40. You know what I mean? But when I'm in the gym, I'm in there training. You wouldn't know the difference between me and the younger guys. So I don't know. I think that's just a mindset thing, right? And I don't know. I guess as soon as I start acting old, maybe I'll start to feel old. But I don't feel old yet, man. And I'm still just that punk kid teenager. You know what I mean? Living this dream. I'm smoke weed, fight, and play video games. You know, like I got a family now, but that's basically my life. You know what I mean? I haven't really changed shit, and things have been good for me.
Do you think a big part of it is just because like, you don't have a lot of that wear and tear of like all these fights? Like, I know you've had these injuries and you've had those layoffs, obviously suck, but on the same time, like that has given you time for your body to heal and not just constantly training and in the gym day in day out.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I haven't taken any wear and tear, but the wear and tear that I've gone through is wear and tear that I've put on myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I haven't really been seriously hurt in any of my fights, right? Even my first loss in the UFC where I got like kind of knocked out, I didn't really get injured from that, right? Like I've had surgeries, but nothing really that is like permanently, giving me some kind of restriction. You know what I mean? I'm doing a really good job of taking care of myself, and I mean, I'm sure my coach would be upset sometimes because I take some days off when I'm injured. You know what I mean? I rest my body because I'm a little older, but my body feels still feels good, and like I said, I take care of myself really well. I stretch, I roll out a lot. I take vitamins and whatnot. I mean, you know what I mean? I do everything I need to keep my body running the way it does.
Who is making the trip down to Brazil with you?
I'm gonna have Coach Mark Montoya in my corner, Coach G, Pat Holder, and then Alex Hernandez is gonna be in my corner.
You and Alex have gotten very close. Even when I've talked to him, he's mentioned you, and like same with Brandon Royval. Like it's kind of like you three have all gotten pretty along pretty well. Like, what was that like for you when you moved to Factory X and kind of being able to click with someone like that right away?
Man, it was really cool. I actually met Alex in 2019. I want to say when I did a USO tour.
Mm.
We did one of the military tours in the Middle East, and that's where I met him. That was actually I think my third or fourth tour I did, but that we met there, and we kind of just like hit it off from there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm a very social person, right? A lot of my friends call me the social butterfly of the group, right? And I don't know. There's certain people in this world that I form a really good bond with, and Alex is just one of them. Brandon Royval is also one of those guys who in the gym we'll work together and we'll spitball and work on things. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the vets in there, we work together and we kind of sharpen each other. So it's a really good environment to be around. You know what I mean? Even for like the younger, smaller guys who are like trying to make it up there. You know what I mean? Like it's really good for them too. You know what I mean? Those guys get to pick our brains and we get to really see them grow into their own too. So that's like it's I don't know. It's all really good. It makes me feel good being there, surrounded by the people I'm surrounded by.
What's kind of the vibe in the gym like? Like to end the year, you guys have a lot of big fights. Like obviously Brandon has the title fight. Like your fight's coming up. Dustin's fighting on the end of the year. Like this pretty big fights. Like Brandon obviously is the big one with the title. But like what's kind of the vibe like in the gym right now?
Man, the vibe is just business as usual. We all like I said, like our gym, where our team is an actual team. It's pretty rare that you go to a gym and the whole team is actually like one group. I've been to a bunch of big gyms, and everyone I've been to, the whole team is a team as a whole, but they have their own separate little groups to hang
Mhm.
out with. And you know, what I mean, some people don't talk to others, and so on and so forth. But in Factor X, it's not like that, man. If you see my Instagram stories, like we're dicking around after practice, we're fucking around with each other, we play games with each other. So like it's a really good camaraderie that we have in there, and it's really fun. We all have our perks and our uses, and we all definitely share with each other. So it's a really good environment.
Back to your fight, like with Bonfim, like he's a guy that's kind of like that killer be killed kind of guy. So like how you kind of see it playing out then?
Oh, I'm the same kind of way, man. Just with a
Yeah.
smile on my face. So I think it's just gonna be a fun fight. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, I'm kind of feeling like he's gonna turn into a wrestler in the fight once I crack him a
Mhm.
couple times.
Do you think like there is a lot of pressure on you going to this one, like just coming off the loss and the layoff? Like you never know losing two in a row in the UFC, or like do you not really think about that?
I wouldn't say I have a lot of pressure on me, but I have a lot of drive behind me.
Yeah.
Um, that pissed me off. You know, I feel like I got cheated out of that fight. I feel like I should have won the split over that. You know what I mean? The judges gave him all my control time in the second round, didn't give him all my submission attempts, right? He took me down, but he didn't really do shit. I was kind of beating the hell out of him on the ground from the bottom. So I don't know. It's kind of a case where the judges don't know what the fuck they're looking at, right? And those guys are scumbags anyway. You can't really trust them. So like it pisses me off, but I'm more determined to not let those assholes take anything away from me again than I am anything else.
That was gonna be my next question. Like, is there a bit of added pressure to like get the finish here, especially fighting a Brazilian in Brazil?
Yeah, I wouldn't say pressure, but I'm definitely looking for it. Like I said, that last one really pissed me off. That the judges took that away from me and they stole that from me. Um, but like I said, it's just giving me more motivation, more fire, and like I said, that's why I'm most dangerous.
What do you think a win here does for you in this division?
Yeah, it gets me two paychecks, possibly
Yeah.
three. Bonfim's not like a top contender or anything like that. He's just a tough up and comer. So, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I'm really just gaining money from this guy
Mhm.
by beating him. Not really a whole lot of status.
Just two more things. Like, is there anyone really left? Like, you fought a lot of these guys coming up, but is there a guy like you still want to fight before your career's up in the UFC?
Man, I would like to honestly, I'd like to get some legend fights in, man. Like, I would like to fight. You know what I mean? Guys like Guida or like Joe Lozano, some of the older, tougher guys. You know what I mean? Some of the vets who've been there a while. Like I fought Jim Miller. I like to
Yeah.
fight some guys like that. Get some good fights under my belt. You know what I mean? But that's basically it.
Just final thing, like, what is kind of the like goal for you next year? Like, what's kind of the ideal year look like for you next year then? Because I imagine this is probably it for you this year.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to get another fight in. I'm fighting in November. Um, I mean, if I get a quick knockout and they give me something December 16th, I might join on that card with
Mhm.
Dustin Kobe and Brandon Royval for that title fight. You know, that'd be cool. But I'm not really thinking past this fight right now. But what I'd like to do is get more than one fight in a year.
Yeah.
I tried to do that last year. I almost did it, but then like you know, I got injured, so I got shit on for that one. But I'd like to just get more than one fight in a year. You know what I mean? I want to finish out strong and really put the fear back in motherfuckers.
Well, Vince, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you, Cole. Appreciate it.
All right, we're Jumbo UFC light heavyweight. Modestas Bukauskas is back in action and heading down to Brazil. Modestas, how's it going, man?
Yeah, going very well, thank you. Just, do you know what I mean? Getting ready for violence very soon.
You're no stranger to traveling, no stranger to going into enemy territory. So, like, was this something you wanted to do, or is it just kind of what they offered you to fight a Brazilian in
Yeah,
Brazil?
yeah, it's what they offered me, to be honest with you. I would have thought, maybe I would have earned the right to fight somewhere nearer to home, but you know, it is what it is. I'm like you said, I'm no stranger to it now. You know, fighting an Australian in Australia, an American in America, and now a Brazilian in Brazil. I kind of like it. It's like, you know, you're going into a faraway land and you're going into conquer. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of got like very sort of like warrior vibes going on. Do you know what I mean? I'm going out to take some faraway land that I don't know about. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of like that. I kind of like that theme going into the fight.
Brazilians have been known to like be a pretty hectic crowd. Like it's a lot different than some of these other places. Like, how do you kind of get ready to deal with that? Because like they're chanting like "you will die" and like
Yeah.
it is like a pretty hectic thing to walk out and just the entire fight.
Yeah, they're going to be saying "Uvama hair." You know what I mean? You're going to die, and all sorts. They're probably going to be getting very pumped up and very behind their own fighter. I did get a small taste of that. Not to the same extent. When I was in Australia, obviously I was getting booed because I was the away town guy. It's going to be even more ecstatic towards that side when I go to Brazil. But I love it. I embrace it. You know what I mean? Everyone's you got to win over the crowd. You know what I mean? Like a proper gladiator style. You need to go out there and you need to win the crowd to win your freedom. The only way I'm going to win my freedom is if I win the crowd. And how do I that? I'll go and beat the hometown boy. So, yeah, I know it's going to be very hostile, but it's almost like cool in a way. Like Rocky IV. He's going to fight Ivan Drago in his home country. So I kind of feel the same vibe. I kind of get the thrill and excitement of, like I say, winning over the crowd with an amazing performance. So that actually fuels me and drives me. So I embrace it.
And a pretty quick turnaround for you. Like, was this about the time frame you wanted? Like, how kind of happy are you to already get third fight in this year and like only fight a couple months later?
I mean, look, obviously, in an ideal world, perhaps I probably could have had something a couple weeks later, but really a couple of weeks later wouldn't even really make that much of a difference. I wanted to have 3 fights this year. I had to get a couple surgeries done after my last fight, but fully healed, fully back to swinging and banging. Out in training and everything, back to the full routine. So yeah. I mean, it's good. It's actually quite nice to be able to finish the year a little bit earlier, I guess you could say. So, maybe enjoy a bit like during Christmas, but and stuff like that. But yeah, man. I mean, I just wanted 3 fights this year. So the one thing I'm glad about is that I get to go to another country again. Do you know what I mean? I get to go and travel the world and go and take heads on the way as well.
And Vitor Petrino, like, how familiar were you with him?
I've obviously watched him. I knew that it could have been a potential opponent. I think I actually even told my manager that potentially that could be a fight that we would go for. I've seen him fight in Contender Series. I've seen him obviously have his 2 fights in the UFC. And he's a very explosive guy. He's got good striking. When he's on, he's on. So he definitely has a very kind of a style where he builds off of his own momentum. And obviously with the Brazilian crowd behind him, it's going to be even more so with that. I noticed he's still quite raw in his skill set. You could say his striking is his forte. His grappling, he's just very explosive. He does a lot of things, like he's very jerky. Scrambles out of position. So he's a very strong lad. He's technical with his striking, but he is definitely beatable.
And then for you, like, I know it isn't as far as Australia, but it is still a pretty long flight to Brazil. So like, how much do you think that experience going out to Australia and like knowing what to do with the weight cut and like just kind of having to deal with that long flight will help you in this one?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I've obviously opted to come there a little bit earlier, so I will be there a week before the fight. The time difference is now a little bit. It's only like 4 hours or something from the UK, so actually I'll be able to climatize a lot easier in terms of jet lag and stuff like this. And bro, I'm always near enough the weight, anyways. I never have any issues in that area. I'll be even more lean and even more ripped by the time it gets to the fight, anyways. Both me and him are going to be looking like we're posing for some sort of magazine for some men's health and fitness or something. But yeah, man, like everything's all routine. Everything's all I've done it before. So like I say, this is absolutely no different, and I always stay near enough to my weight, anyways.
Is it just the same kind of people you've always been training with for this one, or do you bring in anyone different?
So I'm obviously just been training with my guys at BST, and pretty similar training, I guess you could say. I have been training a little bit more Hodger Gracie's academy, getting into roll with some really good guys there. But realistically, yeah, I keep it the same. I think it's quite a good thing, you know, when you got guys that know your style, so you're constantly having to adapt to make sure that they can't figure you out. So it makes my style even better, and then it means if one thing works, I've got something else to switch to. So yeah, it's I kept with the same guys just because, like I say, I love my team. BST Academy, Will Curry, obviously another main training partner, training my dad. It's been working. If it ain't, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, sort of thing.
For you, like going into these fights now, like how much different is your mindset this time around? Like obviously now on a good winning streak compared to like you're like when you were on that lose streak, and just like your first fight back in the UFC where you're like trying to prove everyone wrong. Now it kind of feels like you're back and like everyone kind of knows that you belong in this in the UFC.
Trust me, bro. I've still got a lot of people to prove wrong, and I think that's the fire that fuels me. It's what gives me energy. It's what gives me vibrancy. It's what makes me perform at the highest level. Sorry, I just got the dog here, just like literally coming up me all excited. But yeah, sorry. What was the question again, mate?
Like
I just got distracted.
how different is your mindset like now that
Sorry.
you're on the winning streak compared to like what you were on the
Yeah.
last couple fights in the UFC?
I've still got a chip on my shoulder. I still don't believe people know really how good I am, or people, you know, don't see me as much of a threat in the division yet. You know, they sort of just see me as a passing name. I'm not saying that's the same for everyone, but it seems like the sort of theme. I don't think people really know about me yet, but they're going to find out after November 4th, that's for sure. I need to make a statement. I need to go out here and let people know who the hell I am. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like I say, I feel like not enough people know. And, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, he's a fighter. He's in the UFC, this, that. But I need to show that I'm a danger in this division. I need to show that I'm a contender for the title. And, you know, this is my chance to do it. I got to go out here and perform. So that really drives me. And I think the second time around, people see that I've made improvements. But now it's time to show that I'm not just here, just to hear, you know, not here just to compete. I'm here to go for the gold.
Vitor is a guy that like can grapple if he wants to be more of a striker. Like, do you expect him to just come out and try to wrestle you then, just knowing how good your striking is?
I mean, you know, obviously he is very, like I say, very explosive. He has shown some good takedowns, some good takedown defense as well. Um, like I say, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready if he wants to stand there and bang, and I'm also ready for if he does want to wrestle me, you know, at the same time. But it's up to me to sort of dictate where the fight will go. It's up to me to set up traps to do certain things to push him into the direction that I want him to. But either way, I'll be prepared for whatever he has to throw at me.
How do you kind of see it playing out then?
Yeah. So in in every sense of the word, I'm just expected to be an absolute barn burner. I expect it to be a very explosive fight. I expect both of us to come out swinging. I expect there to be a little bit of a technical side. I do feel like my experience will come into play here. You know, he's obviously very young in the sport, very early in his career. You know, he's got a massive win streak. It's my job to take away that O. You know what I mean? To give him his first defeat. He hasn't tasted defeat before, and it's my job to make that happen. And I do believe I will go out there and get my hand raised. I'll go out there into his home country, into his home territory, and go and get the job done. And as you know, I always go for the finish. I always go for the finish, and I want to be able to finish it in between, inside of 3 rounds. I'm going to come out there again and put it all on the line. I've leveled up again since my last fight. There were mistakes that were made, but there will be no mistakes made here. I'm going to go out and put on a flawless performance.
That is something I want to touch on. Like, obviously, fighting a Brazilian in Brazil, like, is there an added sense of pressure? Like, I can't let this hit the scorecards then.
I guess you could say, yeah, you know, but if you make it convincing enough, you know, the judge can't see it any other way. You know what I mean? If it's a close fight, then I know, you know, like I say, obviously being in the home country, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult on the scorecards with the judges. But realistically, that just gives me more. It's not even pressure. It just gives me more excitement and energy to go out and actually finish this fight. You know what I mean? And like I say, put on the performance. You got to leave no even thought or inkling that there's a chance that he's winning this fight, and that's the energy that I'm coming out into this fight.
And then for you, like, I know you're a big person on the vision boards and stuff. So, like, what was kind of the goal then for you this year?
The goal was to win 3 fights in 2023, and I've done 2. Now it's time to get the 3rd.
Final thing, you get the win over Vitor. Like, what do you think that does for you in this division? Like, what is kind of the goal then for next year?
I think I would earn my spot to fight on a London card or fight in my hometown. I would have went to 3 different countries, fighting 3 different, 3 different men in their home countries. So I think I would have earned my spot to be able to have my home crowd behind me. I've been going out with a load of booze this year. Do you know what I mean? Not in Vegas so much, because I actually had one of my friends. He came to watch me fight, and he got the crowd all pumped for me, which was nice. But obviously in Australia and here, I'm going to be booed the hell out of when I walk out there. So it'd be nice to go out there and actually have cheers behind you, have gigs talking the hardest. When the old school UK bangers playing out on the speakers. So that's one thing I definitely want to do. And that fight I'd want, obviously, outside of the top 15. But we are breaking into the top 15 next year. One fight definitely in my home country, and then after that, I'll be looking to break into that top 15 and work my way towards the belt.
Well, Modestas, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, you're the man. Thank you so much, my brother. Have an amazing day.
Yep.